Hey everybody, this is Joe Pace with Icewater Yoga, and today we're making hard yoga poses easy. This one is all about side crow. So side crow is a variation of crow pose, probably pretty obvious, but it's a twisting variation of the pose, and it's actually closer to what's known as the Kundanyasana family than it actually is the crow family, but it's called side crow, so be it. It does actually have a lot of the upper body of crow, so it does make sense somewhat. And so with this pose, I often see it being taught and done incorrectly. I think there's a cheat way to do it, and there's a real way to do it that actually makes the pose a lot more safe and sturdy and a little bit more challenging, and we're gonna get into that. We'll break the pose into 5 easy steps that bring you towards the full pose. So step 5 is the full pose, and we're gonna work towards 4 other things that you can do on your way there. And so the first one, just like crow pose, is to do side crow on your back. So we roll onto our backs and we take crow pose on the back. So my hands are shoulders width, my knees are into my elbows or triceps. I take my right arm outside of my left leg and keep my knees where they are. So if I can hold this pose with ideally my left shoulder blade off the ground, I'm developing the core strength I need for side crow. My right elbow is against my left knee and my left elbow is hovering in space. This is not the cheat. The cheat is bringing the left elbow here. And you'll notice it actually even makes it easier when you're on your back. So actually lifting the left shoulder makes it harder on the core, but it makes the pose a lot less risky from a twisting perspective, and also makes it a lot more of a strengthening pose. Working crow on both sides on your back, or side crow on your back on both sides, is just gonna give you all the strength and some of the coordination you need for the pose. The next step is actually just feeling what it's like to experience a physically intense pose that also requires a twist. And the one that I really like to show is chair pose with a twist. So we'll take chair pose, feet are zipped together, arms can rise, and then we take the hands to meet the heart center, take the right elbow across the left knee. And so here's where things start to become a little bit more challenging. If I take my right elbow across the left knee, but my right knee scoots forward, I'm ultimately not in the twist. I'm not in the mid back in my twist. I'm more in my low back in the twist. So I want to draw my right knee back, press my chest more forward. Maybe I'm not as deep in the twist, but I'm learning what it's like to be engaged from a core and leg perspective in a twisting pose. Think about pressing your right elbow into your left knee as opposed to pressing your chest deeper into the twist. So press yourself towards the ground more than you are towards the ceiling. That'll give you a more grounded feeling, and also, again, keep the twist safe. Next step, feeling what it's like to enter the pose a little bit. I think that's an important piece here because the entry into side crow is actually pretty awkward. So you can get there from the twisting chair variation that we just took. Ultimately, you're gonna get here. We're taking the same prayer twist, hands at heart center, come across, but I'm on the balls of my feet with bent knees. So I come across here, I plant my right elbow into my left knee, and then my hands come out, and then I plant them into the ground. Feeling this is really all I want to do right now. I do not have my left elbow against my left hip. This creates a shelf that is ultimately making the pose a lot easier than it should be and doesn't really give you much benefit. What we want to do is strengthen our core, strengthen our back muscles, and get more body awareness out of the pose. So avoid the cheat. Keep the right elbow against the left knee, keep the left elbow hovering. All we're thinking about is bringing the chest forward, keeping the knees zipped together, and bearing weight on the hands. We're not lifting the feet, we're just pressing weight into the hands and holding. Elbows are zipping in towards one another. We're not allowing the elbows to come out. We keep them in and aligned with the wrists. So step 3 is just leaning. Step 4 is lifting. Same entry, bring the hands across. This time, my left elbow's against my outer right knee. My right elbow's floating in space. The practice here is rocking the weight forward, elbows hug in. All I do, lift the feet, bring them down. All you're doing is easing into what is the full pose. And then finally, the full pose, which now I'll show you from chair. Right knee is back. I straighten my hands first so I know where they're gonna go. I plant them down. I rock the weight forward. I lift the leg. I hold here. I keep my chest forward. I keep my knees and ankles stacked. Option, straighten both legs. Option, split the legs. This is the Kundanyasana variation I was talking about. And then ultimately, you can work towards the full one-legged Kundanyasana. That switch is tough. So try it out. Those are 5 steps with a little bit of a 6th step added on there with those leg variations. It's a super fun pose. It's a twisting arm balance, which are kind of rare. So enjoy it. Take your time as you get there and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for your time.